In Victorian London, shelter wasn't about comfort, it was about survival. For a single penny, you didn't get to sleep. You purchased the miserable privilege of sitting bolt upright all night on splintered benches while some brute with a cane would whack you if your head dared to droop. Welcome to the penny sit-up, where society's most desperate surrendered their last coins just to avoid freezing to death in some alley. Before we descend into this waking nightmare, if tales like this help you drift off, hit subscribe so you never miss another. Drop a comment about where you're listening from. I'm always amazed when folks in New Zealand tune in for historical horror stories before bed. So get cozy, hold that blanket tighter, adjust your pillow. You'll need every bit of comfort where we're headed. London, 1887, where comfort went to die. Your eyes snap open to an assault of smells. Unwashed bodies, stale smoke, and something rancid clinging to the air. For one disoriented moment, your brain can't process the thick, fetid haze burning your lungs. Then reality crashes in. You're crammed shoulder to shoulder with dozens of other wretches on backless wooden benches in the Salvation Army's Blackfriars Road shelter. Every muscle screams in protest. Your spine feels like it's been stacked with bricks. The bench, just a warped plank smoothed by generations of desperate backs, offers no relief. Unlike your plush pillow at home, this place trades in pure suffering. An endless battle against gravity's pull toward forbidden sleep. Oi, no sleeping. A cane cracks against the bench beside you. The monitor, a gaunt vulture of a man, glowers as he passes. His job's simple. Ensure no one who paid their penny steals the luxury of actual rest. That costs extra. I paid fair, mutters your skeletal neighbor, his gnarled hands twitching. A man ought to close his eyes for a bleeding minute. He's right, of course. But the penny sit-up's rules are brutally simple. 1 copper buys you upright real estate until dawn. No lying down. No sleeping. Just hours of fighting exhaustion while surrounded by 200 others doing the same. The hall stretches before you, dimly lit by oil lamps that create more shadows than light. In the gloom, you make out endless rows of benches packed with human misery, mostly men, some women, even a few children who should be elsewhere. Everyone stares ahead with hollow eyes or whispers to neighbors about better days. First time, your other neighbor, a gin-soaked wreck with surprisingly kind eyes, leans in. His breath reeks of decay, but something in his posture suggests he remembers being somebody once. You'll get used to it. Name's William. Was a clerk for the cough took my livelihood. He demonstrates with a wet, bone-rattling hack. 3 years on the streets now. How do you survive? William snorts. Survive? This ain't living, mate. This is just not dying. He gestures around the room. Look at us. London's finest collection of human wreckage. He's not wrong. Every face tells a tragedy. The one-armed veteran still fighting phantom battles. The hollow-cheeked girl hiding a baby under her shawl. The gentleman whose polished shoes can't disguise his mended coat. And the smell. Christ, the smell. Waves of sweat-soaked wool, disease, and piss from the overflowing bucket in the corner. Most haven't bathed in weeks, some in years. When winter comes, even public baths close. Why waste pennies on cleanliness when food's the priority? Gotta understand the pecking order, William continues. Penny sit-up's the bottom rung. Next up, the 2-penny hangover, where you get a rope to lean on. Pure luxury. His sarcasm could cut steel. Then there's the 4-penny coffin, actual wooden box to sleep in. Might as well be Buckingham Palace. And you ask, where do you usually sleep? William's face darkens. Wherever I can. Some nights it's the streets. Under a bridge if I'm lucky, a doorway if not. Those nights, the crushers move you along hourly. Keep walking or they'll arrest you for vagrancy. Better than the workhouse though. He spits the word like poison. Sooner die in a ditch. The workhouse. The word sends visible shudders through nearby listeners. Victorian England's solution to poverty. A prison for the crime of being poor. Breaking stones or picking oakum until your fingers bleed. Families torn apart. Eating slop even pigs would refuse. Sleeping on lice-infested straw. Last winter, William's voice drops. There was a woman near Covent Garden. Crusher told her to move along. Had nowhere to go. Baby with her too. They found them come morning, frozen solid on a doorstep in 7 dials. Both of them. The silence that follows feels thick enough to choke on. Not because the story shocks anyone. Every soul here has similar tales, but because they all silently acknowledge that could be any of them tomorrow. Your stomach cramps violently, reminding you your last meal was yesterday. A half-rotten potato and butcher's scraps scavenged from Fleet Street. Your mouth waters at the memory. Food comes at 5, William notes. Bread and weak tea barely keeps a sparrow alive, but it's something. If you get any, a voice mutters behind you. They run out quick. You turn to see a boy no older than 14, with eyes decades older. Street kids are everywhere in London, orphaned, abandoned, or simply swallowed by the city's maze. Some never knew another life. What happens at morning, you ask? They boot us at 6, William answers. Back to the streets. Most head to docks or markets, try for day labor. Strong backs might earn a few pennies unloading ships. Rest of us. He trails off with a shrug. Beg, steal, whatever keeps the hangman waiting. The monitor passes again, cane tapping rhythmically against his leg. His eyes scan for offenders, anyone daring to rest. Finding none, he moves on, but the message is clear. Surrender to exhaustion, and you'll regret it. What's his story? You nod toward the retreating figure. William chuckles darkly. Harris? Used to be one of us. Got this job last winter. Now he sleeps in a proper bed upstairs. 3 meals and 6 shillings weekly. For that, he shakes his head. Man would cane his own mother for nodding off. You understand his bitterness. When survival's this precarious, betrayal comes cheap. Hours crawl by. Your back screams. Your eyelids weigh pounds. Every few minutes, someone gets jabbed awake. Occasionally, fights erupt over space, stolen caps, nothing at all. Poverty's tensions boiling over. Civilized bunch here, William remarks after 2 men get separated mid-brawl. You should see the place on Doggett Street. Knives come out nightly there. A wet, hacking cough erupts across the room, the death rattle sound of consumption. Tuberculosis. The disease thrives in places like this. You instinctively hold your breath, knowing it's futile. If the sickness is here, you're already exposed. Girl died right where you're sitting last month, William says casually. Coughed up blood for hours before keeling over. They dragged her out back. No family, just a pauper's grave. He states it as fact, not tragedy. Death's too common here for ceremony. Around 2 a.m., the door bangs open. 2 men stumble in supporting a third whose face is a mask of blood. One eye swollen shut, lips split. Got jumped. One explains to no one in particular. 3 toughs, larking about. Took his boots. Again, no one reacts. Violence is just another hazard, like hunger or cold. Wealthy youths often attack the homeless for sport. Easy targets who can't fight back or report crimes. Could have been worse, William murmurs. Last summer, some toffs set a sleeper on fire under Charing Cross arches. Thought it hilarious. Your stomach knots at the casual cruelty, so unimaginable from your comfortable bed. Why do they hate us so much? The question slips out before you can stop it, born from the image of burning human beings treated as entertainment. William studies you like you've asked why rain falls downward. We're not people to them, just rats in their perfect city. He shifts painfully on the bench. Read in the paper last week. Some doctor wants to round us all up. Ship us to Australia like convicts. Clean up the streets. But we haven't done anything wrong. William's laugh turns into a cough. Being poor is the worst crime in England, lad. Always has been. The night stretches on, each minute heavier than the last. A distant clock tower chimes 3 times, the witching hour when hope feels thinnest. The shelter's settled into a grim rhythm of shifting bodies, smothered coughs, and the occasional whimper from someone dreaming of better days. The monitor's retreated to his chair by the door, half dozing himself, but still jerking awake every 20 minutes to patrol. You're losing the battle against exhaustion. Your chin dips toward your chest, and for one blissful second, sleep starts pulling you under, until sharp pain explodes in your ribs. William's elbow connects again. Harris is coming, he hisses. Eyes open. You snap upright, just as the cane wielder passes. He gives you a suspicious once-over, but moves on without striking. "Thanks," you whisper. William nods. We look out for each other. When we can. It strikes you then. Even in this cesspit of misery, there's community. The lowest rung of London's ladder has its own code. Share what little you have. Warn each other of dangers. Watch each other's backs. The bleeding man, now snoring nearby. Someone gave him a cap to replace the one stolen during his beating. 2 benches over, a woman tears newspaper-wrapped bread in half for the hollow-eyed boy who spoke earlier. These microscopic kindnesses glow like fireflies in the darkness. Most toffs would be shocked, William observes, following your gaze. Think we're all thieves and cutthroats down here. Some are, sure, but most? Just ordinary folk who ran out of luck. What was your bad luck? William's face closes like a shuttered window. Then, quietly, wife died in childbirth. Baby too. Started drinking. Lost my position. Then my lodgings. Once you're on the street. He rubs his chest absently. Consumption'll finish me soon. Can feel it in my lungs. No self-pity, just a statement of fact, like noting rain clouds gathering. Near the door, a disturbance erupts. A swaying woman, clearly drunk, gets turned away by the night porter. Penny sit-ups have strict rules about intoxication. Her slurred protests fade as she's shoved back into the night. She'll freeze, you say, troubled. Maybe, William agrees. Or maybe the gin'll keep her warm enough. Kills hunger too. Another hour limps by. The shelter's grown colder as midnight deepens into true winter dark. London's chill isn't dry and bracing. It's damp, seeping into bones like poisoned ink. Your threadbare coat might as well be lace. Feet numb in boots with soles thinner than newspaper. Around you, people develop strategies against the no-sleep rule. Some stare fixedly at wall cracks like they're reading sacred texts. Others whisper conversations requiring just enough attention to stay awake. Most simply endure, fighting their bodies minute by screaming minute. Does it get easier? You ask William. The no sleeping? He shakes his head. Never gets easier. You just stop noticing. Body learns to steal sleep in stolen moments. 5 minutes here, 10 there. Not proper rest, but it keeps you walking. A child's cry pierces the gloom, quickly muffled. Children shouldn't be here. There are separate shelters for families, but those fill fast. Nobody actually wants to turn away a freezing child. The monitors pretend not to notice as long as they stay quiet. Worst part isn't the no sleeping, William continues. It's what it does to your mind after. Start seeing things that ain't there. Hearing voices. Hallucinations. Fancy word for going mad. William smirks. Seen it happen. Man starts talking to his dead mother. Next thing you know, he's in Bedlam. Bedlam, the Bethlehem Royal Hospital. London's infamous asylum. Another fate worse than death. The air's grown thicker, harder to breathe. Hundreds of bodies in a sealed room with windows nailed shut against the cold. The stench of unwashed humanity hangs like a curtain. Unlike your ventilated bedroom, there's no escaping the physical reality of poverty here. It's in every labored breath, every aching joint, every stomach growl. No privacy, no personal space, just the collective misery of people clinging to survival. A church bell tolls 4 times. 2 more hours until dawn. Your body feels like it's been trampled by carriage horses. But there's a strange comfort in shared suffering. You're not alone in this hell. Tell me something good, you suddenly ask William. Something from before. He looks startled, then thoughtful. Used to take my wife to Regent's Park Sundays. She loved the flowers. Always said she wanted a garden. His ravaged face softens. Mary, prettiest girl in Cheapside. For a moment, you can almost see them. Young William in his clerk's suit, arm in arm with a smiling woman. Their future still bright with possibility before disease and poverty rewrote their story. What about you, he asks. What did you lose? The question catches you off guard. William raises a hand. Don't matter. We all had something once. That's what haunts us at night, the remembering. A bell jangles violently. People stir as Salvation Army workers appear with massive pots. Breakfast, such as it is. Each person gets a tin cup of tepid brown water pretending to be tea and a crust of bread harder than the bench you've been sitting on. The tea tastes like someone waved a tea leaf near hot water 3 days ago. The bread requires serious jaw work, but it's wet and it's solid. For many, their only meal today. You accept yours gratefully. Eat slow, William advises. Fools wolf it down. Then their stomachs cramp something fierce. Around you, people attack the meager rations differently, some devouring like starved dogs, others nibbling methodically to make it last. As people finish, the shelter's atmosphere shifts subtly. Morning means returning to the streets, another day of begging, stealing, or, if miracles exist, finding honest work. Some look defeated already. Others square their shoulders like soldiers heading to battle. What will you do today? You ask William. He coughs painfully before answering. Try Covent Garden. Rich ladies sometimes toss pennies to old soldiers. He taps his knee. Got shrapnel in here from Crimea. Not enough for a pension, but maybe sympathy. You realize with a start he's probably not even 50, just aged prematurely by street life. His white hair and weathered skin belong to a man 20 years older. And tonight, he shrugs. Depends what I scrounge. Maybe back here. Maybe the 2 penny if I'm lucky. He gives you a sidelong glance. Word of advice, if you scrape together 4 pence, get a coffin bed. Actual sleep lying down. Changes everything. Before you can respond, the bell rings again, longer this time. Monitors start rousing everyone, shouting orders. Time to go, William says, standing with a groan. London awaits. All around, people gather pitiful possessions, a spare shirt wrapped in newspaper, a dented tin cup, a carefully folded blanket too thin to warm a kitten. Anything valuable gets hidden in secret pockets or pouches hung around necks. Theft's as common here as breathing. You stand too, muscles shrieking after hours of forced stillness. Blood rushes painfully back into numb limbs. The world tilts dangerously for a moment. Easy, William steadies you with surprising strength. Happens to everyone. The shelter doors swing open, unleashing a gray dawn and a blast of cold that cuts through your clothes like they're made of cobwebs. Outside, London's waking up, cart wheels rumbling, factory whistles screaming, the ever-present coal smoke stinging your eyes. People start filing out, a parade of the damned returning to streets that are both home and prison. Some stride with purpose toward docks or markets. Others shuffle aimlessly with nowhere to go but through another day. William pauses at the threshold. Luck to you, he says, offering a gnarled hand. You shake it. And you. Maybe see you tonight. Hope not. He replies with the traditional street blessing. Hope you find better. Then he's gone, swallowed by the human river flowing into London's veins. You follow, stepping onto pavement that feels like ice. Your stomach's already growling. The day stretches ahead, long, uncertain, but you're alive. You survived a night in Victorian London's mercy. For the homeless, sometimes that's victory enough. As you stand there, a passing gentleman in a fine wool coat looks straight through you. To him, you're not a person, just a smudge on his city's face, a problem to be ignored. He doesn't see the man you were before or might become. Only what you are now, one more homeless body fighting for survival, one copper coin at a time. The streets of London swallow you whole as you stumble away from the penny sit-up, William's final words still ringing in your ears. Dawn hasn't so much broken as it has seeped through the coal smoke clouds, a gray, sickly light that does nothing to warm the biting cold. Your breath plumes before you like a ghostly banner announcing your poverty to the world. Already the city's stirring to life. Carts clatter over cobblestones laden with goods for the markets. Street vendors hawk their wares with voices raw from morning gin. Factory workers trudge toward 14-hour shifts with the resigned shuffle of condemned men. And everywhere, the invisible army of the homeless moves through the cracks, ignored by all but the constables who prod them along with their batons. Your stomach clenches violently, reminding you that yesterday's shelter breakfast, that pathetic excuse for tea and fossilized bread, is long gone. You need to earn coins today, or tonight will be spent under a bridge, fighting sleep while the police make their hourly rounds. You there. A barrel-chested man loading crates outside a warehouse beckons you over. Need hands for the morning. 6 pence for 4 hours. 6 pence. Enough for food and better shelter tonight. You nod so fast your neck cracks. Soon you're hefting wooden crates that smell of exotic spices and tea leaves. Each one weighs more than seems physically possible. By the second hour, your arms shake like leaves in a storm, but you keep going. Sixpence means the two-penny hangover instead of the sit-up. Maybe even actual sleep. The work finishes just past noon. The foreman flips you a sixpence that you catch and tuck into a hidden waistband pocket faster than a pickpocket works. In Victorian London, showing money is asking to lose it. You find a street vendor selling pea soup from a battered copper kettle. "Penny a bowl," she says, eyeing your ragged clothes with suspicion. The soup's watery enough to read newspaper through, with more grit than peas, but it fills the gnawing void in your belly. You savor each spoonful, knowing it might be your only proper meal today. Across the street, a boy watches you with the hollow-eyed stare of chronic starvation. Can't be more than 10, but his face has the sunken look of an old man. Without a word, you push your half-finished bowl toward him. He doesn't thank you, just seizes it and gulps the contents down so fast you worry he'll choke. When he's done, he wipes his mouth on a sleeve that might once have been part of a shirt and vanishes into the crowd. That tiny act of kindness leaves you warmer than the soup ever could. On the streets, such moments are rare treasures. Flickers of humanity in the grinding struggle to survive. The afternoon stretches before you. With food in your belly and money for tonight's shelter, you allow yourself to simply walk, observing the city's brutal contrasts. Fine carriages roll past children playing with dead rats in gutters. Shop windows display silver tea services while beggars huddle in doorways clutching stumps where hands used to be. As dusk approaches, you make your way toward the two-penny hangover district. The streets narrow here, buildings leaning together like drunkards sharing secrets. The smells intensify, rotting vegetables, human waste, the sweet putrid stench of poverty's diseases. You find the place, a nondescript building with a sign reading Night Refuge, 2D, in peeling paint. Already a queue's formed. Men and women with that particular look of long-term homelessness. Gaunt faces, eyes like smashed windows, clothes worn to colorless rags. You join the line, clutching your precious coins. The temperature's dropping fast. Your breath forms clouds that hang in the air like ghosts. First time at the hangover? The man behind you speaks with an Irish brogue thick as London fog. One eye's clouded with cataracts. "You'll be missing your penny sit-up, I warrant." "Is it that bad?" He gives a wheezing laugh. "Bad? It's a masterpiece of human cruelty. But you can actually sleep, if you don't mind waking with a neck stiffer than a banker's collar." The line shuffles forward. Raised voices inside suggest an argument over space or money or some perceived slight. Even at society's bottom, tensions run high when resources are scarce. "Name's Patrick," the Irishman says. "Was a bricklayer till lime mortar took this eye." He taps the milky orb. "Now I'm what fancy folk call indigent." He pronounces the word with mock refinement. "What happened to your eye?" "Lime splash. Couldn't afford a doctor." He shrugs. "London's full of one-eyed brickies. We're practically our own guild." You reach the entrance where a man built like a prize bull blocks the door. His expression says he enjoys his work too much. "Tuppence," he grunts, palm outstretched. You place the coins in his hand. He jerks his head toward the interior. "Through there? Find a spot. No fighting, no stealing, no pissing on the floor. Break rules, you're out with no refund." The room beyond stuns you into stillness. Rows of wooden benches face each other. Stretched before each bench runs a thick hemp rope, held about waist-high by metal posts. And draped over these ropes like laundry hung out to dry. People, dozens of them. They lean forward over the ropes, arms dangling, heads lolling in a posture that looks like some medieval torture. "Jesus Christ," you mutter. "Nah, he's got better accommodations," Patrick quips behind you. "This here's for sinners like us." The place holds maybe 60 souls already, with space for 20 more. The smell, Christ, the smell. Unwashed bodies, mildew, the metallic tang of old blood, and beneath it all, the unmistakable reek of urine despite the rules. You claim a spot on a bench. The wood's worn smooth by generations of desperate elbows. The rope's rougher than expected, hemp fibers that scratch your palms when you grip it. Trick is, Patrick advises, taking the spot beside you. Get your weight just right. Too far forward, the rope cuts off your wind. Too far back, you'll topple over when you doze. You adjust your position, trying to find that precarious balance. Around you, others do the same, some achieving that strange half-sleep, others failing spectacularly. A woman across from you catches your eye. Older, with gray hair escaping a tattered bonnet. Despite her obvious poverty, she holds herself with quiet dignity. First hangover? She asks, noticing your clumsy adjustments. You nod. Put your wrists over first, she demonstrates, draping her thin arms over the rope. Then let your head drop. Spreads the pressure. Otherwise you'll wake with rope burns across your chest. You follow her advice. It helps. Martha. She introduces herself. Former lady's maid to a duchess. Now lady's maid to this fine establishment. Her dry humor surprises a laugh out of you. What happened? Duchess died. New duchess brought her own maid. She says this matter-of-factly. At my age, no families want to hire. Spent my savings. Here I am. Before you can respond, a commotion erupts near the door. Two men argue over a claimed spot. That's my bench. Sat here every night this month. Don't see your name on it, Granddad. The younger man shoves hard. The older one falls backward, skull cracking against the floor with a sound that turns your stomach. Silence. Then a groan. Both men get thrown out. Rules are rules, but the damage is done. As they help the bleeding man to the door, his eyes meet yours for one terrible second. The naked despair in them will haunt your dreams. This is Victorian justice. No mercy, no exceptions. One misstep and you're back on the streets where winter kills quietly in the night. Regular occurrence, Martha says quietly. Different faces, same story. When dignity's all a man's got left, he guards it fierce. Your position on the rope grows increasingly unbearable. The hemp digs into your wrists. Your back screams from the unnatural angle. Yet somehow, people around you are sleeping like this. Their breathing deepens. Some snore. Others mutter fragments of dreams. Does it get easier? You ask Martha, shifting to relieve the pressure. No, she admits. But exhaustion wins eventually. As if to prove her point, her eyelids droop. Within moments, she's asleep, balanced on that rope like some grotesque acrobat. It looks about as comfortable as napping on a clothesline, but fatigue is a relentless foe. Beside you, Patrick's already mastered the art, leaning on the rope with the ease of long practice, his breathing ragged but steady. The hours crawl. Each time you start to drift off, your body jerks awake, instinct screaming you're about to fall. Around 3 a.m., something miraculous happens. Your exhaustion overcomes the discomfort, and you slip into a twilight state, not quite asleep, not quite awake. Images flicker behind your eyelids. William Young again, walking in Regent's Park with his Mary, the starving boy devouring your soup. Yourself as you once were, before whatever catastrophe landed you here. A sharp pain jolts you back to full consciousness. Bedbugs. The straw bedding crawls with them, along with lice, fleas, and God knows what else. You scratch furiously at the new welt on your neck. Don't scratch, Martha advises, somehow awake again. Makes it worse. How do you stand it? No choice is there. She shrugs. Besides, bugs are democratic. Bite the rich same as the poor given the chance. I find that comforting. Her perspective startles a laugh from you. Only Martha could find class solidarity in parasite behavior. Around you, others stir, driven from their precarious sleep by similar miseries. One man's cough sounds like furniture breaking inside his chest. Another rocks slightly, muttering to himself, lost in nightmares or madness from chronic exhaustion. Knew a fellow once, Patrick says suddenly. Slept like this 2 years straight. Next set permanent. Walked around staring at his boots forever after. What happened to him? Walked into the Thames one foggy night. Couldn't see where he was going, could he? Patrick chuckles at his own dark humor. The night limps onward. The rope's discomfort becomes almost meditative in its constancy, a fixed point around which your consciousness orbits. Your body's moved beyond pain to numb acceptance. This is how people survive, adapting to the unbearable until it's merely miserable. Around 5 a.m., a new sound shocks you alert, the scrape of metal on wood. A wiry man moves through the room with a knife, slicing the ropes. Morning call, Patrick mutters. Brace yourself. Before you can process his warning, the man reaches your rope. With one quick slash, your support vanishes. Your body pitches forward violently. Only a desperate grab at the bench saves you from face-planting on the floor. All around, people crash to the ground or barely catch themselves. Curses fill the air. It's the most brutal wake-up call imaginable, but undeniably effective. Within moments, everyone's upright, bleary-eyed but unmistakably awake. Out! Everybody out! The knife wielder shouts. New day, new penny. Move along. People gather meager possessions, newspaper-wrapped shirts, dinted cups, threadbare blankets. The few valuables they own get checked and rehidden. Bloody hell, you mutter, rubbing your neck. It feels like it's been dislocated and poorly reset. Your wrists sport angry red welts from the rope. Every muscle screams in protest as you stand. Told you'd miss your penny sit-up, Patrick says with grim amusement. But you actually slept some. More than those poor bastards can say. He's right. Despite the torture chair posture, you did snatch fragments of sleep. More than the sit-up ever allowed. Martha's already on her feet, adjusting her bonnet with dignity that seems out of place here. Off to try the laundry, she says. They sometimes need extra hands Wednesdays. Good luck. She gives you a small nod. You too. Maybe see you tonight. Not if I can help it. You reply, echoing William's words. Hope you find better. That earns a real smile, one that transforms her worn face. Hope springs eternal, even in the twopenny hangover. With that, she joins the shuffling line heading back into London's dawn. You follow, your body a catalogue of fresh pains. But you're better off than many. You slept, however poorly. You have a few pennies left. You're alive to face another day. Outside, the city's still wrapped in darkness, but the first workers are stirring. Night soil men finishing rounds, bakers firing ovens, factory workers trudging to dawn shifts. And everywhere, the homeless emerge, from shelters, doorways, bridges, anywhere they found a few hours respite from London's merciless streets. Patrick gives you a nod before limping off toward the docks. You wonder what work a one-eyed man can find there, but survival breeds ingenuity. You stretch, trying to work the kinks from your abused muscles. The twopenny hangover was its own special hell, but you understand why people endure it. Sleep, however compromised, is currency more valuable than gold when you're homeless. A group of well-dressed young men stumbles past, clearly ending their night rather than beginning it. One spots your rope-burned wrists. I say, Jenkins, he calls to his friend. This one's fresh from the twopenny doss house. His companions laugh like he said something clever. One flips a penny at your feet. There you are. Old chap starts saving for a real bed. More laughter as they continue on. Your existence nothing more than a momentary diversion in their privileged lives. You pick up the penny. Pride's a luxury you can't afford. 1/3 of the way to tonight's hangover, or half a bowl of soup. In the economy of survival, every copper counts. The sky lightens to the color of dirty dishwater. Another day begins in London, a city where extreme wealth and desperate poverty exist side by side, often separated only by a street or a wall. You set off toward Covent Garden, already thinking how to earn enough for tonight's shelter. Your body aches from the rope. Your stomach's already cramping with renewed hunger. Your clothes might as well be tissue paper against the cold. But as you walk, Martha's words come back to you. Hope springs eternal, even in the twopenny hangover. In Victorian London, for the homeless, sometimes hope is the only currency that never runs out. The next rung up London's shelter ladder is both better and worse, the infamous fourpenny coffin. If you can scrape together 4 pennies, you get the unimaginable luxury of lying flat in a wooden box for the night. Not a real bed, not even close. But after nights spent sitting upright or dangling over ropes, it might as well be the Ritz. Fortune smiles on you the following day. The brewery needs extra hands to move barrels, and the foreman, a grizzled veteran missing 2 fingers, takes a liking to your quiet persistence. By afternoon, you've earned a full shilling, 12 glorious pennies, and your muscles sing with the unfamiliar sensation of possibility. You're decent with a barrel, the foreman says, counting coins into your palm. Come back tomorrow. Might have more for you. You nod eagerly, closing your fingers around this small fortune. 12 pennies. Enough for food, for shelter, for tonight's holy grail, a fourpenny coffin. The name alone makes your skin crawl, but among London's homeless, it's spoken with reverence. A chance to sleep like the dead, in every sense. You treat yourself to a meat pie from a street vendor, a reckless luxury at tuppence, but your body screams for protein after days of thin soups and stale bread. The pie's mostly gristle and suspicious lumps, but it's hot and fills the void. You eat slowly, savoring each bite, watching London's human tide flow past. A well-dressed boy, maybe 8 years old, stops to stare, clutching his mother's hand. "Mama, why is that man so dirty?" The woman yanks him away. "Don't look at such people, Charles." She hisses just loud enough for you to hear. "They're not like us." You've grown accustomed to such reactions, in your ragged clothes, with dirt ground into your skin and hollows where your cheeks used to be. You're barely human to them. A problem to be avoided, a stain on their prosperous city. But today, with coins in your pocket and warm food in your belly, their disdain slides off like rainwater. Tonight, you'll sleep in a fourpenny coffin, the closest thing to a real bed you've known in months. As twilight falls, you make your way to the Salvation Army shelter on Whitechapel Road. This one's different, more expensive, but offering what passes for luxury among London's destitute, the notorious coffin beds. The building's larger than the others, with an actual queue forming outside. You take your place, stamping your feet against the creeping cold. The man ahead of you coughs violently, a wet, tearing sound that makes your own lungs ache in sympathy. "First time in the coffins?" he asks between spasms, noticing your nervous glances at the shelter. You nod. "Lucky bastard," he says without malice. "Been trying to save up for weeks. Always end up spending it on food instead." He pats his concave stomach ruefully. The queue shuffles forward. At the door, a stern Salvation Army matron in a starched bonnet takes your 4 pennies, examining each like they might be counterfeit before nodding you through. "Straight ahead, second door," she recites mechanically. "No smoking, no drinking, no fighting. Out by 6 sharp." The corridor's narrow and dim, lit by gas lamps turned low to save fuel. The floorboards creak underfoot, worn smooth by countless desperate footsteps. The second door stands open, revealing the sleeping hall beyond. You stop dead in the doorway. The room's vast, stretching into shadows. And filling it, row upon row of coffins. Not real coffins, but wooden boxes about 6 feet long and 2 feet wide, arranged in tight formation across the floor. In the dim light, with people already lying in many of them, the resemblance to a mass grave is unnerving. "Keep moving," growls a voice behind you. "Some of us want to get to bed." You step inside, moving cautiously between the rows. Each box is identical, raw, unvarnished wood with a thin layer of straw at the bottom. No pillow, no blanket, though some occupants have their own ragged coverings. Near the center, you spot an empty coffin and claim it. The wooden sides rise about 8 inches, just enough to create that unsettling coffin effect, but low enough to step over easily. You hesitate, then climb in. The sensation is indescribable. After nights spent sitting upright or hanging over ropes, simply lying flat feels like heaven. Your spine decompresses. Your neck relaxes. Your legs stretch fully for the first time in days. The wood's hard beneath you, the straw musty and itching, but compared to what came before, bliss. Heaven, ain't it? You turn your head. William, the old man from the penny sit-up, lies in the coffin beside yours, grinning with broken teeth. "William, what? Got lucky," he says. "Lady gave me 6 pence for carrying her marketing. Straight here I came." He shifts painfully, though these old bones find even the coffins a bit hard nowadays. "Still better than the hangover," you say, thinking of the rope burns on your wrists. "God's own truth," William agrees fervently. "Did the hangover last night then?" You nod, settling into your coffin. The straw crackles beneath you, releasing a smell of dust and mildew that mixes with the ever-present stench of unwashed bodies. How'd you find it? Brutal, you admit. Got some sleep, but woke up feeling like my neck was broken. William chuckles. Try doing it with consumption. Spent half the night coughing myself awake, other half trying not to fall on my face when the fits hit. Around you, the room fills as more people are admitted. Soon nearly every coffin is occupied. Mostly men, but some women too, even a few children who should be elsewhere. The boxes are placed so close you could reach out and touch your neighbors. No privacy, no personal space, just human cargo packed like sardines. Bit crowded, you observe. William snorts. Been in workhouses where they packed us tighter, 6 to a bed there, and not everyone breathing come morning. The casual reference to death sends a chill through you. William speaks of it with the detachment of someone who's seen too much to be shocked anymore. A bell rings. The stern matron from the entrance appears. Lights out in 5 minutes, she announces. Anyone caught smoking after lights out will be expelled. Anyone with alcohol will be expelled. Anyone fighting will be expelled and reported to the police. Her gaze sweeps the room, lingering on known troublemakers before she withdraws. Immediately, there's a flurry of activity. People visiting the crude toilet facilities in the corner, arranging meager possessions, settling debts before darkness falls. She's not joking, William says. Saw her throw out a legless man last winter. Had to crawl out on his hands into a snowstorm for smoking. For existing too loudly, more like, you mutter. These places love their rules. The gas lamps dim to near darkness, leaving the room in ghostly half-light. The only illumination comes from a single lamp near the door where a night watchman sits, arms crossed, observing his charges. In the sudden quiet, 100 small sounds emerge. Coughing, snoring, the rustle of straw as people shift position, whispered conversations, a child whimpering somewhere in the dark. The symphony of human misery, performed nightly in shelters across London. But there's something else too, an undercurrent that surprises you. Laughter, soft chuckles, muffled giggles, the sound of jokes shared, stories told. Even here, in these grim confines, people find ways to connect, to remind themselves they're more than just bodies needing shelter. Heard about the toff who fell in the Thames yesterday, comes a voice from a nearby coffin. Do tell, someone replies. Right. So he's showing off for some fine lady on the embankment, nose in the air, when, bam, walks straight into a lamppost, knocks himself backward into the river. Laughter ripples through the darkness. Lady's dog jumps in after him, not to save him, mind, but to fetch his fancy hat. More laughter. Even you smile despite yourself. Dog, get the hat, someone calls. Got the hat, got a reward, got a warm bed tonight. The storyteller concludes. Better off than the lot of us. The shared mirth feels precious, a tiny rebellion against the crushing weight of poverty. Settle down, the watchman barks. Some folks trying to sleep. The laughter subsides, but a warmth remains. The sense that even in this hell, people cling to their humanity. Worst part isn't the not sleeping, William says suddenly. It's what it does to your mind after. Start seeing things that ain't there. Hearing voices. Hallucinations, you offer. Fancy word for going mad. William smirks. Seen it happen. Man starts talking to people who aren't there. Next thing you know, he's in Bedlam. Bedlam, the Bethlehem Royal Hospital. London's infamous asylum. Another fate worse than death. The hours crawl. Your back aches from the hardwood. But compared to the sit-up or hangover, it's paradise. Around 2 a.m., the door bangs open. A new arrival. A woman, clearly desperate, pleads with the night porter. Please, my child's sick. We've nowhere else to go. Rules are rules, comes the implacable reply. No admittance after hours. Come back tomorrow. She won't last till tomorrow. She's burning with fever. Please, I have money. 4p for me. 4p for her. Not my decision. Rules are rules. The door clicks shut. The woman's sob is cut off abruptly. Around you, people stir uneasily. No one speaks, but the collective understanding is palpable. That could be any of them tomorrow. One misfortune away from being turned away with a dying child. She'll try the hospital next, William whispers. Won't take her either. Not without references. Poor mite. The casual brutality of it hits you anew. In Victorian London, even a sick child is just another problem to be managed, another body to keep out of sight. But exhaustion claims you before the thought can fully form. Sleep comes in a rush, pulling you under into blessed oblivion. You dream of coffins floating like boats on the Thames, carrying London's homeless to some kinder shore. In your dream, William is young again, his consumption healed, poling one of the coffin boats with easy grace. Coming, he calls. But when you try to answer, no sound comes out. You wake sometime in the dead of night, momentarily disoriented. The room is dark, filled with the sounds of sleeping humanity. It takes a moment to remember where you are. The fourpenny coffin, the closest thing to a real bed you've known in months. Beside you, William sleeps fitfully, his breathing wet and labored. Even in sleep, the consumption gives him no peace. You wonder how long he has, weeks? Days? And what will happen when the end comes? A pauper's grave, unmarked and unmourned. Just another name in London's endless mortality rolls. You turn onto your side, the straw crackling beneath you, and immediately regret it. Your hip bone grinds against the unyielding wood. Still better than sitting upright all night, but far from comfortable. The coffin's too short for you to stretch out fully. Your feet press against the end, forcing your knees to bend. Your average height, about 5'7", but the dimensions are clearly made for smaller frames. Taller men must sleep curled like children or with their feet hanging over. A sharp pain in your ribs makes you slap instinctively at your side. Your fingers come away wet with blood. Bedbug. The straw harbors all manner of vermin. Lice, fleas, bedbugs, worse. You've been bitten before, will be bitten again. It's the price of shelter. Gets under your skin, don't it? Comes a whisper from the coffin on your other side. Not William this time, but a younger man with a thick Cockney accent. The bugs, I mean, get in your clothes, your hair. Never really get rid of them, even when you're back on your feet. You sound like you know, you whisper back. A soft chuckle. Been up and down more times than a whore's drawers. Name's Jack. Used to be a printer for the machines put me out. Now I do whatever comes to hand. And you've gotten out of places like this? 3 times, he says with quiet pride. Find work, get lodgings, save a bit. Then something happens. Sickness, accident, bad luck. Back to the bottom. But I climb back up. Always do. His resilience impresses you. 3 times fallen, 3 times risen. Most never make it up even once. What's your secret? You ask. In the darkness, you sense his shrug. No secret. Just keep moving, like one of them sharks. Stop swimming, you die. It's as good a philosophy as any for surviving Victorian London streets. Keep moving. Keep trying. Stop, and the city will swallow you whole. William's coughing fit wakes you again. Violent spasms that shake his entire coffin. He sits up, hacking like something's tearing loose inside him. Each breath a battle. You all right, mate? Jack asks with genuine concern. William can't answer. Can only cough until the fit passes, leaving him gasping and spent. He spits into a rag, and even in the dim light, you see the dark stain of blood. Bad tonight, he manages, voice ruin. Had a cousin went the same way. Consumption's a bastard. William nods weakly, lying back down. Won't be long now. Feel it in my chest, like drowning, but slower. The matter-of-fact way he speaks of his approaching death disturbs you, not because it's callous, but because of what it represents. In this world, a man can die by inches in plain sight, and society simply looks away. When I go, William says suddenly, take my boots. Good leather, resold last year. The unexpected bequest startles you. I can't. Don't be daft, he cuts you off. Won't need, am where I'm going, and they're too good to waste. Promise me. You swallow hard. I promise. Satisfied, he settles back, pulling his thin coat tighter. Within minutes, his breathing steadies as he drifts into uneasy sleep. Decent of him, Jack comments. Them boots are likely his most valuable possession. You nod in the darkness. The gift is more than decent. It's a kind of faith, a belief that something of William will continue after he's gone. His boots walking on through London streets, a form of immortality. Sleep is elusive after that. You lie awake listening to the shelter's nighttime sounds, snores, coughs, muttered dreams, the occasional cry of night terror. Outside, a church bell tolls 3 times. 3 a.m., the hour when hope feels farthest away. You think about Jack's philosophy. Keep moving like a shark. The endless struggle just to stay in place. The knowledge that one misstep could send you spiraling back down. It's exhausting to contemplate, because there are worse places than this. The workhouse, where families are torn apart, where work is deliberately pointless and crushing. The casual ward, where you trade a night's shelter for a day of breaking stones. The street corner in winter where you might wake to find the person beside you didn't. Compared to those fates, your wooden coffin is a palace. For pennies buys you a flat surface beneath your back, a roof over your head, and the fragile hope that tomorrow might be better. One step at a time, 1 penny at a time, 1 night at a time. That's how survival works when you're sleeping rough in Victorian London. Morning comes with the usual brutal efficiency. A jangling bell and the night watchman's barked orders snapping you from uneasy dreams. Up and out in 15 minutes. Anyone still here gets reported for vagrancy. You sit up too fast, the world tilting as blood rushes from your head. Every muscle protests after hours on the hardwood. Beside you, William struggles to rise, his breathing worse than last night, wet and rattling like dice in a cup. "Easy, old man," you say, offering an arm. He grips it with surprising strength, hauling himself upright. "Thanks, lad. These bones don't want to move today." On your other side, Jack's already folding his threadbare blanket with military precision. "Printer's fingers," he explains, catching your glance. "Never lose the habit." Around you, the room's a flurry of activity as people prepare to face another day. Some have nothing to gather. They came with only the rags on their backs. Others carefully wrap small treasures, a spare shirt, a child's toy preserved through unimaginable hardships, a book so well thumbed the pages are soft as fabric. Outside, dawn's just breaking, a gray, watery light that does nothing to warm the biting cold. Your breath plumes as you help William to the door, steadying him when a coughing fit nearly sends him sprawling. "You should see a doctor," you say, knowing even as the words leave your mouth how absurd they are. William gives you a look that's equal parts amusement and pity. "With what money? For what? No cure for what I've got. Not for the likes of us." He's right, of course. Medical care for London's poor is virtually non-existent. Hospitals require references and fees. Doctors won't treat those who can't pay. For the homeless, illness is just one more burden to bear until it kills you. The 3 of you join the shuffling line to the exit. You, William, and Jack, an unlikely trio bound by the random chance of adjacent coffins. Outside, the morning's bitter with winter's teeth. Frost glitters on the cobblestones like shattered glass. "Off to try the docks," Jack announces. "Always need strong backs there." "And you?" you ask William, worried about his ability to survive another day on the streets in his condition. He shrugs. "Same as always. Find a dry spot. Try to stay warm. See if I can beg enough for tonight's bed. Come with me," you suggest impulsively. "The brewery might need 2 hands." William shakes his head. "Kind of you, but I'd slow you down. Better on my own." He pats your arm. "Don't worry about old William. Survived this long, haven't I? There's nothing more to say. In this world, each person's survival is ultimately their own responsibility. Charity extends only so far when everyone's one step from disaster." "Good luck then," you tell him. "Maybe see you tonight." "Maybe," he agrees, though something in his eyes says he doesn't believe it. To Jack, "Keep moving, shark boy." Then he's gone, shuffling into the mist like a ghost returning to the shadows. "He won't last a month," Jack says quietly. "Seen it too many times. Nothing to be done." You want to argue, but the truth of his words sits heavy between you. "Not in this world," you agree. "Maybe the next is kinder." Jack adjusts his cap. "Right then, I'm for the docks. You, the brewery, if they'll have me again." "Luck to you." He offers his hand. You shake it. Maybe see you in the coffins tonight. Hope not. You reply with the traditional response. Hope you find better. Jack grins. Always hoping a slot. It's what keeps us moving. Then he's striding toward the Thames, where ships from every corner of the empire unload cargo that needs strong backs to move it. You stand alone in the creeping dawn, considering your options. The brewery isn't far, and if they take you on, that's another shilling, another night in the coffins, another day's food. If not, you'll need to find work elsewhere, beg, borrow, steal, whatever it takes to avoid sleeping rough. The endless calculations of survival occupy your mind as you start walking. 4 pennies for shelter, 2pence for food if you're careful, a penny for tea to warm your bones. Always counting, always planning, always one misstep away from disaster. But as you move through the waking streets, Jack's words come back to you. Always hoping. It's what keeps us moving. Hope, the one currency that costs nothing yet remains priceless. For London's homeless, sometimes that's the only thing between them and total surrender. The brewery has no work for you today. Try tomorrow. The foreman says, not unkindly. Big shipment coming in. You nod and turn away, the sinking feeling in your gut threatening to pull you under. No work means no money. No money means no shelter tonight. Back to the streets where the police move you hourly and sleep comes in dangerous snatches between their rounds. You still have 7 pence left from yesterday's earnings. Enough for food at least. Maybe even a penny sit-up if you're frugal. But as you walk away, a bone-deep weariness overtakes you. 3 nights of fractured sleep. First at the penny sit-up, then the 2-penny hangover, then the coffin, have left you exhausted despite their varying degrees of discomfort. The day remains gray and cold. You pull your thin coat tighter, though it does little against the damp chill seeping into your marrow. Your stomach growls, reminding you that the shelter's tea and bread was hours ago. You spend a penny on a cup of tea from a street vendor. The hot liquid warms your hands as much as your insides. Then you wander, looking for opportunity, odd jobs, errands, anything to earn a few coins. But London teems with the desperate, all seeking the same thing. At the docks, 100 men fight for 10 positions. Outside shops, a dozen boys compete to carry packages. Near the markets, women with hollow eyes offer to mend, clean, or perform less savory services for pennies. By afternoon, your legs ache from walking, your hopes dwindling with the daylight. You find yourself in an unfamiliar part of the East End, narrow streets crowded with tenements that lean together like conspirators. The smell here is worse than usual, not just the typical London miasma of coal smoke and sewage, but something deeper, a rot that seems to emanate from the buildings themselves. Turning a corner, you stop dead. She sits with her back against a wall, so still you'd think her dead if not for the occasional blink. A woman of indeterminate age. She could be 40 or 70. Impossible to tell beneath the grime and exhaustion etched into her face. Her clothes are little more than rags stitched together, layer upon filthy layer. Beside her, a small bundle in a shawl resolves into a baby, alarmingly quiet. But it's her eyes that truly unnerve you, vacant, distant, as if looking at something far beyond the squalid street. This is what London's poorest call a crawler, someone who's fallen so far they can barely muster the energy to move from one spot to another. You approach cautiously. You all right, ma'am? Her eyes focus slowly, recognition taking longer than it should. Watching the baby, she says in a voice like rustling paper. Mother's working. Penny a day. You look more closely at the infant. It's unnaturally still, swaddled so tightly only its face shows, pinched and waxy, with the same hollow look as the woman's. Is the baby sick? She shrugs. Most are. Live or die? Not my doing. The casualness with which she discusses a child's potential death chills you. But you understand. In this world, attachment is a luxury the poorest can't afford. To care is to invite heartbreak. When did you last eat? That same indifferent shrug. Yesterday? Day before? All the same. Without thinking, you reach into your pocket, your fingers closing around your precious coins. 7 pence, your buffer against the night, your hope for shelter. But looking at the crawler and the silent baby, Your own problems suddenly seem trivial. You pull out tuppence and hold it out. Here, get something hot inside you. She doesn't move to take it, just stares at the coins as if they're artifacts from some lost civilization. Can't leave the baby, she says finally. I'll watch it, you offer impulsively, till you get back. Her vacant eyes narrow slightly, assessing you. Trust is rare on the streets, but the promise of food is a powerful motivator. Finally, she nods and takes the coins with fingers so dirty the grime has become part of her skin. Back soon, she says, rising with painful slowness. Don't take him nowhere. Then she's shuffling away, moving with the characteristic gait of the crawler, each step requiring monumental effort, as if she's wading through tar. You've heard some crawlers move less than a mile in a day, conserving their meager energy for the absolute essentials. Alone with the baby, you crouch down for a better look. The infant is alive but listless, its breathing shallow. Up close, you see the signs of malnutrition, skin stretched drum-tight over tiny bones, a bluish tinge around the lips. Hey there, little one, you murmur, adjusting the shawl. Your mum's coming back soon. The baby makes no response, not even the reflexive grasp when you touch its hand. Something's very wrong, but in Victorian London, medical care for the homeless poor is virtually non-existent. This child has likely never seen a doctor and never will. Around you, the street continues its grim routine. Children playing in the gutter with a dead rat, a man with festering sores begging indifferently, two women arguing over a broken bucket. Normal life in one of London's worst slums. You settle against the wall, the baby beside you. The crawler's spot offers a good vantage point while providing some shelter from the wind. You understand why she chose it. One of thousands of calculations the homeless make daily just to survive. Across the street, another crawler, an old man huddled in a doorway, is so still he's practically part of the architecture. These are the people who've given up on improving their situation, focusing solely on existing from 1 hour to the next. Not living, just not dying. Unlike William with his consumption or Jack with his determination to rise again, the crawlers have surrendered to their circumstances. They represent the last stage before death for many of London's homeless, a slow fading away, unremarked and unmourned. See them, crawlers? A boy of about 12 appears beside you, sharp-eyed and thin as a rail. They don't last long once they stop moving. Like sharks they are. Stop swimming, they die. Jack's words from last night echo in your mind. Keep moving like a shark. You from around here? You ask. He nods. Born and bred in the East End. Know every brick and rat by name. He eyes the baby suspiciously. That yours? Just watching it for someone. He snorts. Crawler's got you doing her job while she drinks your pennies. Won't see her again till the gin's gone. The cynicism from one so young doesn't surprise you. Street children grow up fast or don't grow up at all. What's your name? Ned, he says, then jerks his chin at the baby. That one won't last the week. See how it's blue around the mouth already? His casual prognosis shocks you, though you'd notice the same symptoms. Isn't there somewhere it could get help? A hospital? Charity. Ned laughs, but there's no humor in it. Hospitals want references and money. Charities want deserving poor, clean, sober women with hard-working husbands down on their luck. Not crawlers with gin habits and babies that don't even have names. It's a harsh assessment, but likely accurate. Victorian charity is heavily moralized. Help given only to those who match middle-class ideals of propriety and industry. The truly desperate need not apply. You persist. Ned shrugs. Some try churches, missions, Salvation Army. But there's too many, ain't there? Can't save everyone. System's not built for it. With that bit of street philosophy, he saunters off, already scanning for opportunities, a dropped coin, an unwatched pocket, an errand he might run for a penny. You sit with the baby, waiting. Minutes stretch to an hour. The infant stirs occasionally, but makes no sound, too weak even to cry properly. Just as you're beginning to think Ned was right about the woman not returning, she appears at the end of the street, moving with that same painful slowness. But she's carrying a small bundle. Got bread, she says, settling back into her spot with excruciating care. And tea. She unwraps a crust and a small bottle of weak tea, both purchased with your tuppence. The baby needs milk, you say gently. And a doctor. She gives you a look that's equal parts exhaustion and scorn. Where am I to get money for that? Lucky we eat it all. You can't argue. The cost of milk, let alone a doctor, is beyond someone who spends her days watching other people's children for pennies. Has it got a name? The baby. She shrugs. Mother calls it M, short for Emma or Emily, maybe. Don't know. And yours? Your name. Sarah, she says after a pause, as if remembering is an effort. Was a dressmaker before the cough took hold. You not understanding. Consumption again, the disease that ravages London's poor, spread by close quarters and poor ventilation, worsened by malnutrition and cold. The same illness killing William. How long have you been? You gesture vaguely, not wanting to say a crawler to her face. On the streets? 3 years or thereabouts. Like this. She looks down at her immobile legs. 6 months since the worst of the cough. Can't stand long now. Legs won't hold. Her matter-of-fact recounting of her decline is somehow more disturbing than if she'd been emotional about it. It's the voice of someone who's accepted their fate so completely they no longer question it. Where do you sleep? Here. Mostly. Doorways if it rains. Casual ward when the crushers make me move along. The casual ward, the free section of the workhouse where the homeless can get a bed for a night in exchange for hard labor the next day. It's considered a last resort by most. The work deliberately grueling and pointless, designed to discourage all but the most desperate. In winter? How do you manage in the cold? Some don't, she says simply. Find them frozen in the morning sometimes. Happen to me eventually, I expect. Soon as I can't move enough to find shelter when the real cold comes. That chilling fatalism. Sarah sees her death as inevitable and imminent. Just another event in a life defined by hardship. The baby, M, stirs and makes a weak mewling sound. Sarah automatically adjusts the shawl, her movements gentle despite her apparent detachment. There is care there. You realize, just buried beneath the overwhelming burden of survival. Will the mother be back for her? Always has been before. Works in the match factory till 6. Pays me a penny to watch the little one. The match factories, notorious for their dangerous conditions and the phossy jaw that afflicts workers exposed to white phosphorus. The women who work there earn pennies for a day's labor in conditions that slowly poison them. And still, this mother is doing better than Sarah, who can't work at all anymore. You're kind to help her, you observe. Sarah gives you a look that suggests kindness has nothing to do with it. Penny's a penny. Buys bread. Keeps me alive another day. The brutal economics of survival. Everything reduced to its most basic value. A penny for watching a baby that might die in your care. Tuppence for a crust of bread and tea. 4pence for a wooden box to sleep in. Life measured out in copper coins. As the afternoon wears on, you find yourself reluctant to leave Sarah and the baby. There's nothing you can do for them. Your own situation is precarious enough, but the simple act of sitting with another human being, sharing their space and time, feels significant somehow. You tell Sarah about the penny sit-up, the 2-penny hangover, the 4-penny coffin. She listens with mild interest, though these accommodations might as well be luxury hotels for all the likelihood of her accessing them. Used to sleep in the parks, she says when you finish. Hyde Park was best in summer. Cool under the trees. They don't allow it anymore. She shakes her head. Got new orders last winter. Move along anyone sleeping rough, especially women. Say it's for our own protection. She makes a sound that might be a laugh. More like for the toff's delicate sensibilities. Don't want to see us when they take their carriages through. The criminalization of homelessness, a constant feature of Victorian London. The poor are not just unfortunate, but offensive, a blight to be hidden away rather than a problem to be solved. As the light begins to fade, people return from work. If work is the right word for the soul-crushing labor performed in factories and workshops across the city. Women with exhausted faces. Men with bent shoulders. Children old before their time. The working poor, just one misfortune away from joining Sarah against the wall. A young woman hurries toward you, her face lined with worry. She can't be more than 20. but her eyes belong to someone much older. Factory dust clings to her hair and clothes, and her hands are stained an odd yellow-red, the mark of the match worker. She asked Sarah anxiously. She all right? Quiet all day, Sarah replies, handing over the bundled baby. Took the bottle twice. The mother, for she must be M's mother, clutches the child to her chest with a fierceness that suggests she knows exactly how precarious the little life is. From her pocket, she produces a penny, pressing it into Sarah's palm. Thank you, she says with genuine gratitude. Don't know what I'd do otherwise. Sarah nods, closing her fingers around the coin. Another day's survival secured. The mother notices you for the first time. Who's this? Help me today, Sarah says simply. Bought bread. The young woman gives you a quick assessing look, then nods slightly, the street's silent acknowledgement of a small kindness. Best get her home, she says, adjusting the baby. Night's coming on. With that, she's gone, another shadow swallowed by London's indifferent streets. You should go too, Sarah says. Need to find a place for the night. I should, you think. Need to find somewhere before the shelters fill up. But Sarah will sit here all night, exposed to the elements, subsisting on that crust of bread you helped her buy. Decision made. You press 2 more pennies into her hand, enough for shelter if she can make it to 1. She looks at the coins, then at you, something flickering behind her vacant eyes. Surprise, perhaps, or a ghost of the person she was before the streets claimed her. Won't make it that far, she says honestly, but might get a bit of soup, or gin to keep the cold out. You can't judge her choice. In her position, warmth, even the false warmth of alcohol, might seem more valuable than food. Good luck, you tell her, meaning it. And you, she replies. Watch yourself after dark. This part ain't safe for strangers. It's the most she said at once, and it strikes you as a kind of gift, a warning born of hard-won knowledge, offered to someone she'll likely never see again. You nod and turn away, heading back toward more familiar parts of the city. But Sarah's face stays with you. The hollowed eyes, the resignation, the slow disappearance of a human being happening in plain sight on a public street. You're one of them now, no different from the old man searching through rubbish or the woman with a baby across the street. Yet today, with work found and money in your pocket, you feel the fragile hope that perhaps you won't always be among their number. Perhaps, like Jack, you can find your way back to a room, a job, a life that doesn't revolve entirely around the next meal or night's shelter. The church bells strike 3. 3 hours yet until the shelters open. With nothing better to do, you begin walking again, this time with no particular destination in mind. London unfolds around you, a city of stark contrasts, where mansions and hovels, feasts and famine exist side by side. Turning into a narrow street, you come upon a sight that stops you cold. A group of men in the coarse gray uniforms of the workhouse, breaking stones under the watchful eye of a supervisor. Their faces are gaunt, their movements mechanical, their expressions uniformly blank. This is the fate William spoke of with such fear. The workhouse, Victorian England's solution to poverty. For the able-bodied poor, it offers shelter and food in exchange for hard, often pointless labor designed more to punish than to rehabilitate. For families, it means separation, men, women, and children housed in different sections, allowed to see each other only at designated times, if at all. The stonebreakers don't look up as you pass. Whatever individuality they once possessed has been ground out of them by a system designed to make receiving help so unpleasant that only the truly desperate would seek it. You walk faster, irrationally afraid that someone might mistake you for a runaway inmate and drag you into that gray, hopeless existence. The workhouse represents the final surrender of freedom, the admission that survival on the streets has become impossible. Better the penny sit up, the 2-penny hangover, even sleeping rough than that living death. Turning a corner, you nearly collide with a constable, one of London's bobbies in his distinctive uniform. He steadies you with a hand that quickly becomes a restraining grip when he notices your ragged appearance. And where might you be heading in such a hurry? Just walking, sir, you reply, keeping your tone respectful. The police are generally not kind to the homeless, empowered by vagrancy laws to arrest anyone who appears to be sleeping rough or begging. He studies you, taking in your dirty clothes and unshaven face. Got any means of support? Any money? Yes, sir. Worked at the brewery this morning. Got 4 pence for the shelter tonight. Let's see it then. You carefully extract your precious coins, showing them on your palm. The constable grunts, somewhat disappointed at being unable to arrest you for vagrancy. All right then, but keep moving. No loitering, no sitting on doorsteps, no begging. Understand? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. He releases you with a small shove that's just on the edge of being assault. Off with you then. You walk away, feeling his eyes on your back until you turn the next corner. That was close. The laws are designed to criminalize the condition of being poor and homeless rather than address its causes. A night in jail might mean losing your place at the brewery tomorrow, setting you back just when you found a foothold. As afternoon slides into evening, the temperature drops sharply. Your inadequate clothing does little against the bitter cold seeping into your bones. The bread and cheese from the charity are long gone, the apples saved for later. Your stomach reminds you that one small meal is hardly enough after a morning of hard labor. But food will have to wait. Shelter is the priority now. With the coffin shelter not opening for hours yet, you need somewhere to keep warm until then. Public houses, pubs, are an option, but publicans are quick to throw out anyone who doesn't keep buying drinks. Libraries and museums close early. Churches lock their doors against the very people who most need sanctuary. Eventually, you find a spot in the corner of a cheap coffee house where a penny buys you a cup of something brown and warm that might charitably be called coffee and the right to sit as long as you nurse it. The place is filled with others like you, the poor but not destitute, people with just enough to avoid the worst fates, but not enough for any real comfort. The man across from you has the ink-stained fingers of a clerk or printer. His clothes are worn but carefully mended, his collar frayed but clean. He catches your eye and nods slightly, one survivor recognizing another. Waiting for the coffins? He asks quietly. You nod, surprised at his perception. Thought so. Know the look. Did 3 months in them myself last winter after I lost my position at the printing house. Saved up enough for a room eventually. He sips his coffee with the deliberate slowness of someone making it last. You'll get there too if you're careful. Any advice? He considers. Save every penny. Don't drink. Gin's a false friend. Find regular work if you can. Covent Garden, the docks, anywhere that needs strong backs daily. He leans closer. And find something to hold on to. Something that reminds you you're a person, not just a body needing shelter. Like what? He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small, worn book. Poetry for me. Save my sanity on the worst nights. Doesn't have to be books. A skill, a memory, a hope. Something they can't take from you. It's good advice. On the streets, it's easy to lose yourself, to become defined entirely by your desperate circumstances rather than by who you are beneath the dirt and hunger. Thank you, you say sincerely. He nods and returns to his coffee. The brief moment of connection over, but somehow sustaining nonetheless. Outside, darkness has fallen fully. The winter night claiming London early. Gas lamps create islands of sickly yellow light amid the general gloom. The temperature has dropped further. Your breath clouds before you as you finally leave the coffee house. Its meager warmth no longer worth the suspicious glares of the proprietor. Time to head toward the shelter. The fourpenny coffin on Whitechapel Road opens at 8, and it's best to be there early to ensure a place. They fill quickly, especially in cold weather. As you walk, you notice other homeless people moving in the same direction, a silent procession of the desperate, all seeking the same basic comfort of lying flat for the night. Some you recognize from previous nights: the old soldier missing an arm, the woman with the hollow-cheeked baby, the boy who looks too young to be alone. Approaching the shelter, you see the queue has already formed despite the early hour. You take your place, stamping your feet against the cold, blowing on your hands to keep the feeling in your fingers. The woman ahead of you turns, revealing a face you recognize. Martha from the 2-penny hangover. She looks surprised, then pleased to see you. Didn't expect you here, she says. Thought you'd be at the hangover again. Got lucky with work, you explain. Covent Garden had crates needing unloading. She nods approvingly. Good for you. Better nights sleep in the coffins, that's certain. What about you? How'd you manage fourpence? A shadow crosses her face. Sold my wedding ring. Last thing of value I had. Kept it through 3 years on the streets. She shrugs. Cold's coming on hard. Needed proper rest. The sacrifice speaks volumes. Martha has given up her final connection to her former life, her dignity, her identity as someone's wife, for the simple comfort of lying flat for a night. I'm sorry, you say inadequately. Don't be. Just meddle in the end. Can't eat it. Can't sleep on it. But there's a hollowness to her voice that belies the practical words. The queue shuffles forward slowly. Each person hands over their precious fourpence, receives a ticket, and disappears inside. When your turn comes, you feel an absurd surge of pride as you hand over coins earned through honest work, not begged or stolen. Inside, the room of coffins is much as you remember, row upon row of wooden boxes on the floor, each barely large enough for an adult to lie in. The smell of unwashed bodies and musty straw permeates the air, but after 2 nights of sitting up or hanging over a rope, the sight of these crude beds is welcome. You find an empty coffin and settle in, your body sighing with relief as you stretch out flat. The wooden sides rise around you, creating the unsettling coffin-like appearance that gives these beds their name, but also providing a small measure of privacy, a precious commodity for the homeless. Martha finds a spot nearby and gives you a small nod before lying down. Around you, others do the same, easing aching bodies onto hard wood, arranging meager possessions, preparing for the closest thing to proper rest available to London's poorest. You pull the apple from your pocket, your luxury saved for this moment. The first bite is crisp and sweet, the juice a blessing to your parched mouth. You eat slowly, savoring each bite, aware of envious glances from those around you. Food in the shelters is a rare sight, usually consumed before entering to avoid theft. When you've eaten down to the core, you notice a small boy watching you from a nearby coffin. He can't be more than 10, though hardship has aged his face beyond his years. Without a word, you offer him the core, still containing a few bites of flesh around the seeds. He snatches it with a quick, furtive movement, like a sparrow darting for crumbs, and retreats to his coffin to gnaw the remaining fruit from the core. The simple transaction, neither charity nor theft, but something in between, is typical of life at society's edges. As night deepens, the room settles into the familiar sounds of communal sleeping, coughing, snoring, the rustle of bodies shifting on straw, muffled conversations. The gas lamps are turned low, casting the space in a dim, ghostly light that makes the rows of coffins appear even more sepulchral. Despite the hardwood beneath you and the thin layer of straw that does little to cushion it, sleep comes more easily than in the penny sit-up or 2-penny hangover. The simple luxury of lying flat allows your body to truly rest, muscles relaxing after days of enforced sitting or hanging. You dream of Covent Garden, of endless crates that need moving. But in the dream, each crate contains something different: bread, coins, clean clothes, all the things that represent security and comfort to the homeless. You stack them higher and higher, building a fortress against the cold and hunger that constantly threaten. A sharp cry wakes you sometime in the deep night. A woman a few coffins away sits bolt upright, eyes wide with some night terror. The watchman moves toward her, but she's already settling back, murmuring apologies, returning to her uneasy sleep. These moments are common in the shelters. The accumulated traumas of street life erupting in dreams. The thin barrier between sleep and wakefulness easily pierced by memories of hunger, cold, violence, loss. You lie awake for a while after that, listening to the sounds of the room, thinking about the printer's words in the coffee house. Find something to hold on to. Something that reminds you you're a person, not just a body needing shelter. What do you have left? No possessions of value, no connections to your former life. But there are the small victories. The work at Covent Garden, The promise of more tomorrow, the knowledge that others have climbed out of this pit penny by bloody penny. The human connections, brief but real, with William and Martha, Jack and the printer, even Sarah the crawler with her matter-of-fact acceptance of her fate. These are the things you can hold on to. Not objects, but experiences. Proof that you're still human, still fighting, still moving like Jack's shark, refusing to surrender to the current that would drag you down to Sarah's immobility. Morning comes too soon, announced by a bell and the harsh voice of the night watchman. Up and out. 15 minutes to clear the building. Around you, people stir reluctantly, bodies protesting the return to vertical after the brief respite of horizontal rest. Martha catches your eye as she rises, giving you a small nod that somehow communicates both solidarity and resignation. Another day, another struggle for survival. Outside, the morning is clear and bitterly cold, frost silvering the cobblestones and rooftops. Your breath clouds before you as you join the stream of humanity pouring out of the shelter back onto London's unforgiving streets. Covent Garden again? Martha asks, falling into step beside you. You nod. If they'll have me. I'll try the laundries. Sometimes they need extra hands Wednesdays. Good luck, you tell her sincerely. And you? She hesitates, then adds, maybe see you tonight. Hope not, you reply, following the traditional response. Hope you find better. She smiles slightly. Always hoping. It's what keeps us going. With that, she turns away, another solitary figure in the vast and different city, seeking a day's work and another night's shelter. You make your way toward Covent Garden, your body less sore than after the penny sit-up or two-penny hangover, but still aching from the hardwood of the coffin. The cold bites through your inadequate clothing, but the promise of work, of more pennies toward tonight's shelter and food, drives you forward. The market is already bustling when you arrive, the same controlled chaos as yesterday. You find the foreman who hired you standing by a wagon piled with crates of winter vegetables, turnips, potatoes, cabbages. Back again, he says, recognizing you. Good. Could use a reliable pair of hands. Same as yesterday, penny an hour, payment at end of shift. The work is identical to the day before. Lift, carry, stack, repeat. But today you pace yourself as the toothless young man showed you. Conserving energy, finding a rhythm that's sustainable. Your muscles, though sore, remember the movements, and the labor is marginally easier. During a brief pause while the foreman confers with a vendor, the young man from yesterday appears beside you. Made it back, I see, he observes. Determined, aren't you? Need the money, you reply simply. He nods, understanding completely. Keep it up. They'll start asking for you by name. That's when things get better. Regular work, regular pay. Might even get tuppence an hour instead of a penny once they know you're reliable. The prospect of doubling your earnings sends a surge of hope through you. Tuppence an hour would mean 8 pence for a morning's work, enough for the coffin, food, and still something to save toward better lodgings. How long did it take you, you ask, to get out of the shelters? He considers. 6 months of regular work. Saved every penny I could. Found 2 others to share a room. Cuts the cost to something almost manageable. He glances around, then lowers his voice. Got a proper bed now with a mattress. After the coffins? Feels like sleeping on clouds. A proper bed. The simple luxury seems almost unimaginable after nights on benches, ropes, and wooden boxes. Yet this man has achieved it through persistence and careful saving. Perhaps you can too. The foreman returns, ending the conversation. But the young man's words stay with you as you continue working. 6 months, half a year of daily labor, penny by penny. A daunting prospect, but not impossible. Not if the work holds out, not if you're careful with your earnings. By noon, when the shift ends, you've earned another 4 pence, enough for tonight's coffin again. Enough for a small meal. The foreman counts the coins into your palm with a nod that might be approval. Tomorrow, you ask hopefully, if you're willing. 6 sharp, 2 days of work, 2 nights in the coffins. Small victories, but significant in a world where survival is measured in pennies and inches. With 4 pence in your pocket and the promise of more tomorrow, you walk away from Covent Garden with something that's been scarce since you found yourself on the streets. hope. Not the desperate hope of the truly destitute clutching at any possibility, but something more substantial, a plan, a path, a way forward, penny by bloody penny. The months unfold in a rhythm of labor and survival. Each morning's walk to Covent Garden, each afternoon's careful accounting of pennies, each night's respite in the wooden coffin. Your body hardens to the work, hands callousing into tools themselves. The printer's book of poetry, purchased for a penny at a rag-and-bone shop, becomes your nightly ritual, a whispered sonnet by candlelight to remind yourself that beauty still exists beyond these grimy streets. One evening, you arrive at the shelter to find William's coffin occupied by a stranger. No one speaks of his absence. No one needs to. You slip on his boots, the leather supple from years of care, and feel the ghost of his footsteps carrying you forward. By summer's end, you've saved enough to rent a garret room near the docks. It's scarcely larger than the coffin, but the door locks from the inside. The first night you stretch across the bare floorboards just because you can, the printer's words echoing, "This is yours." Years later, when the smell of coal smoke and unwashed bodies has finally left your skin, you'll still catch yourself counting pennies in your sleep. On foggy evenings, you'll pause outside the workhouse gates, watching new arrivals shuffle through. Sometimes you'll press a coin into a hollowed palm. Sometimes you'll walk on. The city continues its relentless churn, swallowing some, sparing others by chance or cunning. New faces appear in the coffins and vanish by morning. The crawlers fade from their doorways. The workhouse bell tolls. And always, always, there are more coming, wide-eyed and desperate, learning the brutal arithmetic of survival. You keep William's boots by the door, the leather worn thin but still sturdy. They remind you that every step forward was once measured in pennies, that no one makes it out alone, and that London streets never truly leave those who've walked them. Somewhere tonight, a man sits bolt upright in a penny sit-up, fighting sleep. A woman drapes herself over a two-penny rope. A child curls inside a wooden box, dreaming of bread. And you? You breathe. You remember. You turn the page.